Ahoy and welcome to another conversation with Sir Lumber. I'm DaileyBeating, and today we'll be talking about the recent rumblings of Sony's answer to Game Pass. How are you doing, Sir Lumber?
Oh, doing fantastic. How are you, sir?
I'm having a good time. It's always good to hear about some more competition in the video game
Oh yeah.
space.
Hey, it's healthy for the industry to have competition.
Of
So,
course, of course. So today we're going to talk about this. We're going to be working off of a Verge article. This is from a Bloomberg scoop by Jason Schreier. Sony's Spartacus could be PlayStation's answer to Xbox Game Pass.
love the name already.
Love
Off
the
the
name
top.
already. It's a wonder this hasn't happened already. It's been they've been letting Xbox run amok with their Game
Right.
Pass offerings, basically uncontested for a while.
Yeah.
They've
Right. I
had
was
they've
gonna say, like, how long has Game Pass been huge? It's
yeah,
been around for a while. So,
it's been like
yeah.
their reason, the reason to get an Xbox for a lot of
Right.
people.
Yep. That was my reason getting an Xbox.
Yeah,
That's why I have one. Yeah.
exactly. It says here in this first paragraph, Sony's planning to create an Xbox-like subscription service. Basically, the idea is they already have PlayStation Plus, which is your basic online functionality as well as some free games every month, and then you've got your PlayStation Now, which is like kind of like their already existing Game Pass, but not as well marketed or as
Yeah.
widely as wide of offerings as Game Pass would have.
Right.
And the idea is they're going to merge these supposedly and keep the PlayStation Plus branding, which
Right.
makes sense because ask 100 people who have a PlayStation, 90 of them probably recognize PlayStation Plus, maybe 10 of them are like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Right.
so that makes sense to keep that branding, and they're looking to phase out PlayStation Now.
Right.
Have you ever used PlayStation Now, Sir Lumber?
No, and I think that I could probably get like some kind of free trial, and there's probably some stuff on there that I would be interested in if I had the time to go back and play like old PS3.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't tried it, and it doesn't seem worth my time at the moment.
I remember right when it came out. I can't even. It must have been either late PS3 or early PS4. I couldn't honestly tell you when it came out. Probably early PS4. I did, like you said, a free trial, and I streamed some PS3 games. I think I streamed a couple Ratchet and Clank games that I didn't have access to.
Is it streaming, or is it like is that
So
what PlayStation Now is?
it was originally only streaming. Now you can play like the PS1 and PS2 games natively, but the PS3 games are still streaming,
Gotcha,
from my
gotcha.
understanding. I streamed some Ratchet and Clank games. I guess it was Full Frontal Assault, All for One, and Into the Nexus. I streamed all
And
three of those.
you said PlayStation 1 and 2, like those are on PlayStation
Yes,
Now?
I
I wasn't
believe
aware of
so.
that. Okay,
Not like a
okay,
full catalog,
yeah,
but there's options.
gotcha.
Um, and basically here, it's the idea behind this codename Spartacus is it would have three tiers. The
Yep,
base tier would just be PlayStation Plus as we know it. Get your few games every month, online functionality, and then the second tier would include a catalog of PS4 games and eventually PS5 games.
yep,
I don't expect them. I wouldn't expect them to start throwing brand new PS5 games on here.
yeah, no,
Sony relies on their game sales a little more than Microsoft does, I guess,
well,
for
and
their
the just the quality of their like first party games, they do rely on that. Yeah,
and
sure.
they know they'll sell those games
Yeah,
at their full price point, no
and even
problem.
if all those games at some point are available on service, and this rumor proves, I still being a semi collector, I guess you could say, I want to own
Yep.
PlayStation guy first and foremost, so I would want to own those first games anyway.
Yeah. So that's the second tier, and the third tier. This is getting more into like their legacy content. It would include a library of classic PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP
See,
games
that's the one that interests me the most.
for sure.
So yeah,
And it's likely to be available on the PS4 as well as the PS5.
there's no reason why it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So when they bring this up, the PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games, PS1 and PS2 games you can already play on the PlayStation Now. You can like
right.
download those games and play them. PS3, from my understanding, we're still having to stream those games. I've never understood the like complexity of playing a
No,
PS3 game on emulation.
either. Yeah,
But I know it's a hurdle that Sony has not yet, I guess, outwardly overcome.
yeah,
Um, I know there are some third-party emulators of people who are working to get that kind of stuff done.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's progressing, more and more.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason Sony doesn't have the bandwidth to make that happen, like emulate PS3 games and you can play them more natively.
Right.
I'm sure they have the resources and the engineers to figure that out.
It's a very strange problem to have when you have, on the other side of things, you have Xbox who all their legacy stuff, like it works. All their consoles, it's just like, it's kind of crazy.
That's what gets me, is because it's not like so there were third-party games that were on Xbox 360 and PS3. So what specifically about the way PS3 games worked? I've never fully understood it. It's probably something I should, look into.
Yeah.
But
I have no idea what the deal is with the hardware of the PS. Like, makes it so difficult. It's a very strange problem to have, I think.
But I guess the point I'm trying to get to here, if this Game Pass like service is comes to fruition, I would almost expect the PS3 games to be downloadable. Otherwise, they're just rebranding PlayStation Now and giving it to you in a different package.
Yeah, and if they but if they expand the catalog of games, the streaming is an issue because that requires good internet for sure. And if they want to make this a true to Game Pass, well, they're not going to get as much. People don't feel like they can get the most out. So, they're going to have to do something. But that's kind of the age. Each new iteration of a console still want to be like, we want a one-stop shop for everything that we've played and stuff previous generation. So that's where obviously PlayStation has fallen short.
Yeah, and it's funny because Nintendo's also they're currently going through like a rough time, poorly emulating some of their own games, the N64. So I feel like Sony would really like to take the opportunity to show that they've got their stuff figured out, and they'll emulate those PS3 games well, rather than go through the same. I mean, say what you want about the Nintendo 64 games. Some of them, they should be having those things run more smoothly.
Yeah.
So hopefully Sony can get the PS3 figured out. It also says here the company is looking to putting more resources and expanding their cloud gaming efforts, which is something Xbox is doing with xCloud. Just another thing that Sony, they don't want to. If Xbox is doing something to get ahead, Sony's going to look to mitigate that lead they have. They're not going to just let them run rampant.
Right.
And Xbox did, Sony and Microsoft did come to a deal in 2019. You mentioned here with using Microsoft Azure, their like cloud infrastructure. But it was unclear if Spartacus would run using that cloud infrastructure.
Pretty interesting if it did, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of funny if like, hey, can we use your infrastructure to compete with you? I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
But I guess
what is the money to be made for Microsoft?
Yeah, that's what Microsoft makes their money on. Not just Xbox, but Microsoft as a whole makes their money on services. Like they provide, Microsoft Office and stuff like that. So
it's so interesting. I have to try and look at this from a different perspective with stuff because I don't really have an interest in that. But it seems like that's what everyone's pushing for when it comes to, the clouds are used for.
Yeah.
I don't have an interest in that cloud, and I only recently got like really good internet. So, but even with that, it doesn't really. It would have to be very convenient. So like it's kind of interesting.
I guess my thing with cloud gaming is it works until it doesn't. So if it works smoothly and it's having, playing a game natively, it's great. But once it doesn't work, it'd be super annoying. Like say there's a bad storm, the internet goes out, what have you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm not
I have power. I can play plenty of games.
Exactly.
So maybe not online stuff, like you said, during a storm or something.
Yeah.
But if I'm relying on something that is going to drop with any kind of connection issues. Yeah, that can be frustrating.
So it says here the Spartacus service sounds like it puts Sony on par with Microsoft Game Pass Ultimate subscription, which makes sense. They're going to try to bundle all this into one thing rather than parse it out like they've been with PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus.
Right.
And I mean, I really wonder how many games they would have on this service from the start. Like, are we talking the Nintendo thing where it gives you like 20 games up front? Or are we talking like hundreds of PS1, PS2, PSP games right off the bat?
Yeah, probably not that, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that they have to do it incrementally and roll out like waves of, and that makes sense because I don't know what the origin story is for Game Pass. I seriously doubt all their stuff available.
Yeah.
So that's to be expected, but.
And then you got to look at all the competition between getting third-party support. Like Sony doesn't own, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, even those were big PS1 games. But you would think if you want to play on the nostalgia of people from their PS1, roots, they would want those games on there. So they had to shell out some cash to Square, which that works for for example, for Square, they're getting money from Xbox, they're getting money from Sony. To have these games just available on their services.
Right.
So this could be a win-win for developers, publishers, and consumers themselves.
Yeah.
If Sony's willing to chunk out the cash.
Yeah.
There's no hard number here for pricing. That was like the rumored pricing. But you would imagine. So what's PS Plus is what, $60 a year? Base?
Yeah, the MSRP, like if you don't get any, I frequently do. So every year when I buy it,
I would say like what would make sense to me would be 60, and then for the PS4 game, like the legacy PS4 games and the soon-to-be PS5 games, you just throw it at 90 a year, and then if you put the Game Pass full Game Pass like experience, you can do $10 a month, which Game Pass Ultimate's $15 a month, but they're they give you a lot. They give you the first party games on day one, which I don't. Sony's not going to do that. Even it says here, Jason Schreier says don't expect Sony to include its big new games day one. So then I don't think they could get away with the $15 a month, but maybe they could do 10 a month. So it would be 60, 90, 120 for the three tiers. I think that'd be a reasonable pay structure people would get on board with.
Yep. Well, then you get into the conversation like with the best is the best tier worth double what the base tier is? Like
things are I guess things are just worth whatever people are willing to pay for them. And I mean
so the pricing structure is interesting because the way that Sony markets it right now, at least the way I see most commonly, is that they market the yearly price for the service, right? PlayStation Plus at $60 a year. I think it may be a lot for a consumer to see if they're showing $120 a year for the biggest the best tier, which I'm sure there's value there, but they'll probably show it as like the monthly price
$10 a month.
Compare it to Xbox Game Pass rather than saying here give me $120 right now, even if that is a good value. Because right now you can get PlayStation Plus, especially around this time of year with the deals and stuff for $20 off, or more. Because I just got it for like $40.
Like Netflix, for example, they don't it's a lot easier for them to be like, hey, will you give me $8 this month, rather than saying like, hey, will you give me $100 this year?
Right. Exactly.
That's not how they go about it. So
but since PlayStation offers this like pretty. Like, if you're just talking about PlayStation Plus, it does really one thing. You get your free games every month, and you get the online service. And so it makes a little bit more sense to offer that as like this yearly service type deal. It's not too much for the consumer to swallow, I guess. But in this case, $120 a year, it could be very well worth it for sure. For what they could offer. Yeah, for sure.
Well, cool. It says here, I already mentioned this, but reiterating, don't expect the big new games day one like Xbox. I think that will still be Microsoft's like ace in the hole. Like for Halo Infinite's coming out a few days from now. The day Sony lets you play God of War Ragnarok day one without giving them $70.
I'm grabbing that collector's edition for that game for sure. Yeah. But but for people who want it and don't care about like owning the game, that would be pretty crazy to have, because Sony first party games are the best of the best. So it may take a while for them to get to that point.
This does show it's creeping a little bit more towards the all digital future. Like I have no desire to buy any Xbox games. Like if I do, it had to be a game I really like that I already have on Game Pass.
Right.
And so
just to have it to add to the collection.
Exactly. So then if Sony starts seeing this work and people are downloading all the games and maybe they start putting games out a little sooner, like the new games, and then eventually it's just steps towards a future where you don't go buy a game at Target or Walmart. You just download it off there.
Right. And I'm not even saying that I don't know, as I get older and like I even have less time for things, I'm not like 100% opposed to like all digital stuff. Right now I still have like that kind of collector mentality for lots of things, like, certain Nintendo IP and then like pretty much, a ton of PlayStation stuff. I'm more of a PlayStation guy, so I still want to own things physically, but I could see myself in, however many years, being okay with the all digital.
I like seeing my stacks of games.
I do too. Yeah.
Maybe they can start giving me a virtual stack of games and make me virtual. Right.
So like a little hologram projector.
Exactly. It comes with my PlayStation. It zooms a little stack on my desk.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take it.
Cool stuff. Well, any last thoughts, Sir Lumber? Before we
No, I mean I'm looking forward to hearing official news about this because I would be interested.
It says somewhere up here. Where does it say? The company would launch the service in the spring. So if we are going to hear about it, I would assume we'll hear about it in the next couple of months.
Gotcha.
Well, cool. Thank you for joining me today, Sir Lumber, and thank you for watching if you made it this far. And let me know in the comments which games you'd be most excited to see on this service. I want to see Ratchet and Clank: A Cracking Time. I would love to play that game.
It's funny because I have that sitting in my closet with my PlayStation 3. But I'm not hooking it up. I just won't.
Yep. Too much effort.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you next time. We'll wet my whistle one more time. Okay.
The vase.